Pompeii is a place that never ceases to amaze us. Even though the infamous volcanic eruption occurred in 79 AD, as well as the remains of the destroyed ancient Roman city were discovered as early as the 18th century, the site, which is one of the most popular in the world, still has treasures waiting to be discovered. Excavations have revealed several well-preserved frescoes and mosaics, as well as graffiti altering the suspected eruption date. Hello and welcome back to the Abandoned Archaeologist again, the channel to learn all about ancient archaeological findings. Today we'll discuss the discovery of some mysterious graffiti on Pompeii's walls, taking history differently. But before we begin, to get your attention, we have a question you can answer at the end of the video by watching it. What language were the messages on Pompeii's walls written in? So write down your answer in the comment section and see if you got it right. Here we begin with our video. The latest discovery is all about some mysterious graffiti on the walls of Pompeii city. In this light, much of the graffiti at Pompeii appears surprisingly modern. For example, declarations of love insults, Sanius to Cornelius, go hang yourself, health to you, Victoria, and wherever you are, may you sneeze sweetly, as well as remembrances, Pyrrhus to his chum Chias, I'm sorry to hear you're dead and so goodbye, are among the ancient inscriptions. There's also painted inscriptions that look like billboards and include advertisements for gladiatorial games, political campaign messages, and other public notices, the equivalent of a giant flyer for a lost horse. The commonplace nature of these inscriptions contributes to their historical value. It recreates town life. It's the voices of those thinking about it and writing it. That is why the graffiti is so unique and captivating. The fact that we can read the original inscriptions is part tragedy, part miracle. Like most scholars know about Pompeii, the city's extensive graffiti is so well preserved because it spent nearly 1,500 years entombed in ash after Mount Vesuvius's catastrophic eruption in 79 AD. Someone indulged too much in food here on the 16th day before the November calends, meaning on 17th October, according to a charcoal writing discovered on the wall of a house undergoing renovations the year of the eruption. Because charcoal is a volatile material that doesn't generally withstand time, archaeologists believe the graffiti was written just a few days before Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, but in October rather than August, as most believe. Other discoveries were made in the site's Reggio 5 area, where two houses revealed a true archaeological treasure trove of mosaics, various objects, and frescoes. The fresco is considered part of a lararium, a room in an ancient Roman home dedicated to the gods of family and home. It's adorned with lush nature scenes and two serpents, good demons thought to bring prosperity and fortune. It's always exciting to discover something new and see our efforts bear fruit. It's also fascinating to see traces of previous archaeological excavations emerge and how the same work we're doing today was done in previous eras. Graffiti in Pompeii and everyday life. I admire you all for not collapsing under the weight of carrying so many writers' tedious scribblings. As the quote implies, graffiti was common in Pompeii and shared many similarities with modern graffiti. Pompeians also like to leave their mark on the urban landscape, writing "I was here" in charcoal on buildings lining the town streets rather than spray paint. They made amusing cartoon-like drawings, wrote rhymes and poetry, and sent messages to lovers and friends. Some of the messages were not so pleasant. An ill-wisher of a certain choice scrawled on the town basilica, "I hope your piles become sore again." Graffiti also provided people with information. As a result, archaeologists and historians can learn obscure everyday details that would otherwise be unavailable. For example, this casual notice from market dates discovered on the wall of a shop in Region 3 is one of the few pieces of evidence indicating that Pompeii hosted a Saturday regional market. It also provides the Roman names for the 7 days of the week. Menus and messages were written on tavern walls or the internal walls of houses, so even the cost of food and drink survived. Graffiti was also used to recommend prostitutes, informing interested parties of their prices and services. Finally, graffiti even addressed the subject of graffiti's annoyance. One irate homeowner wrote on his wall, "Whoever writes anything here, let him rot and be nameless," a warning to any would-be scribblers. Gladiators and Actors. On May 31st, the gladiatorial troupe of Aulus Cetius Certus, a deal, will fight at Pompeii. There will be a hunt as well as awnings. Graffiti depicting gladiators and gladiator fights could be found throughout Pompeii. They discuss the fighters' successes and failures and their popularity. They also provide information about the game's losers. Graffiti tells us that not every loser was killed and that many survived to fight again. The cited example is typical of graffiti advertising a fight. These notices, written by specialized sign writers, tell who owned or paid for the gladiators, what the program would entail, when they would take place and where, and any additional attractions for the comfort of the spectators. Games were the most popular form of entertainment, but theater came in close second. In Pompeii's theater, many touring troupes of actors performed. One belonged to Actius and Nicetus, whose name can be found in graffiti throughout Pompeii. In addition, popular actors, such as Paris, the pearl of the stage, were honored on street walls and tombs throughout the city. War and conflict. Take this path between the 12th Tower and the Salt Gate, where Marcus Atrius, son of Vibius, instructs. Some graffiti served a more serious purpose. The graffiti coded as part of a series of messages written at strategic points around town during the social war when Pompeii was at war with Rome in the 1st century BC. In times of attack, the graffiti details mustering points for citizens. On Pompeii's walls, casual scribblers also recorded historical events. A painting of 2 mounted men fighting 2 others on foot hangs in the entrance of one house. In Oscan, one of the men is known as Spartacus. Spartacus and his rebels were once camped on the slopes of Vesuvius. At least one resident wanted to mark the occasion. Graffiti and the people of Pompeii. Graffiti also gives us the names of ordinary citizens who would otherwise be unknown to us. We know the names of some of Pompeii's lowest-ranking citizens, such as gladiators and slaves. Tombs outside the city walls near the Nucerian Gate contain the remains of gladiators known as Princeps or the Chief and Hilarus. These nicknames indicate that the people were slaves. However, only some gladiators in Pompeii were subservient. For example, Marcus Atilius' name suggests he was freeborn and thus most likely a volunteer. This well-known gladiator appears in graffiti throughout the city, detailing his career from his first fights to his victories. Graffiti also reveals the names and occupations of ordinary people. Sign writers like Aemilius Celer are remembered for posterity through their signatures on the notices they painted. Graffiti is another way for local merchants to be identified. Stephanus' Foolery got its name because the owner's name appears in election graffiti outside his foolery. Similarly, a tannery shop at IV2 can be identified as Zulmus's because a sign directing people to his workshop is written on a nearby wall. Tradespeople in Pompeii would even use graffiti to communicate with others in the same trade. History. Since Pompeii was rediscovered centuries ago, people have been obsessed with the ancient etchings. Though nearly 20 centuries old, the New York Times wrote in 1881, the thoughtless school scrawls, the boys, the lovesick gallants doggerel, or even the caricature of some friend, popular favorite, or foe is still as clear as if executed by an idler yesterday. Despite all of this praise, most people have needed help accessing Pompeii's graffiti. Even in this day and age, when there's a vague expectation that all of the human knowledge has somehow coalesced online, the inscriptions still need to be fully digitized. Scholars must either piece together some disparate texts found only in research libraries or travel to Pompeii. However, much of the graffiti in Pompeii's history has been looted, defaced, or destroyed. Some of the vandalism has come from people who have etched graffiti over the originals, which is ironic. All of this is why experts are spearheading an effort to design the graffiti of Pompeii, as well as Herculaneum, a nearby town buried by the 79 AD eruption. What do you think about the recently discovered graffiti in Pompeii and its shocking truth? Let us know in the comments below, and the answer to the question we have asked is that the message written on Pompeii's walls were made with charcoal. Stay tuned and subscribe now to Abandoned Archaeologist for more such videos.